Welcome to the Balanced Blueprints podcast, the show where we break down the real challenges of balancing high school academics, sports, health and wellness, and mental well-being. I'm your host, Harper, and if you've ever felt like there just aren't enough hours in the day to juggle practice, homework, family, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of time for yourself, then you're in the right place. Each episode will dive into practical tips, real stories, and expert advice to help you stay on top of it all without burning out. Whether you're an athlete struggling to keep up with your schoolwork, a student pushing for straight A's while trying to maintain friendships, or somebody just looking to balance in a busy life, we've got you covered. So take a deep breath, grab your water bottle, and let's figure out this crazy balancing act together. This is the Balanced Blueprints podcast. Let's get into it. This is AJ. He is a multi-sport athlete, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm AJ. I play football, basketball, and I run track. Football is my favorite sport. I'm doing pretty good in football. I got a couple offers. Duke, Troy, Bethune-Cookman. Most people say I'm best at track, though. It's probably where I get my most attention. I'm a national champion, and I just play basketball for fun.
How long have you been playing football for?
I've been playing football since I was 5.
And what position do you play?
Well, I like to consider myself an athlete. I play multiple positions, but most I play safety though. That's my primary position.
And you just play basketball for fun?
Just for fun.
What do you run in track?
The 400 hurdles, or 300 hurdles, the 110 hurdles, and 4x4.
So we'll get into the questions now. Have you ever felt like you've had to choose between school and a sport, and how did you handle that and work through it?
Well, I always feel like that because schoolwork can get overbearing at times. Most of the time, I try to do my work in class, so I don't have to worry about it later, because after school you got practice. Football practice don't end until 8 o'clock. Basketball practice is a little bit easier, it's a little bit better, but football practice don't end until 8 o'clock. So over the winter season, the fall winter season, you gotta do your work right before practice, during class, whatever you can get it done. Because when you get home, shower, eat, and sleep. So yeah.
Do your coaches give you any time to get your work done?
We do study hall every day for probably about 30 minutes to an hour, and then every Wednesday we go to the homework club at school, and we do our work. Well, most people do their work. There's always some kids who don't care about school. So.
Has there ever been a moment where stress took over, and how did you navigate that?
There have been moments when I've been stressed out about school. Typically, my first option is just to not do it, but that's not good advice. But most of the time, I hold it off till later. I might try to do it at a different time. Sometimes I do stay up a little bit later and do some work. But most of the time, if I'm feeling stressed out, I try to just hold it off until a different time before the due date, or maybe the day of. Just depends on how much time I have or if I create time.
So you said that you stay up later sometimes to get your schoolwork done. How do you recognize when your body is telling you to slow down and just take a step back from school and sports?
Well, the ways I recognize for school is when I start getting frustrated. When I'm doing something like schoolwork or playing the game, things like that are just all thinking and stuff like that, I usually get hot, I get frustrated, and that's when it's time for me to stop. Now with sports, it's when I start to feel sore. I don't be trying to get up in the mornings. I don't even want to go to school. I don't be wanting to do nothing. That's when I know, okay, I need to take a hot bath, Epsom salt, take an ice bath, things like that.
How has God helped you through sports and school, and just helped you and led you?
Okay, this is actually a big question. When I used to live in Michigan with my dad, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. As you know, 6th grade was COVID for us. So we didn't go to school. So I went to, I went to Carnage for my 6th grade year. It was all online. I came back for the EOGs or whatever, and then that's when I officially started going to school in Michigan. I played sports up there. I was pretty good. When I was in 7th grade, they wanted me to play on the 8th grade team, but the 7th grade team was so trash, I feel like I had to stay and develop with them. I think we went 1-5 my 7th grade year, and I think I might have scored 2 or 3 touchdowns a game. And then when we got to 8th grade, we went 5-1. So it was just a huge difference from 7th grade to 8th grade, just building connections with the team, getting to know everybody in school, outside of school. We used to hang out. There was this place called Defy Gravity that I used to go to all the time. It was right near our school. So we just got to grow together and make connections. But going into 9th grade, I was working out with the head coach up there, Coach Jones. And I used to work out with him almost every weekend. I used to play quarterback. And so that's what I really wanted to do. We used to throw the ball, do all sorts of things. But I feel like the Lord told me that wasn't my place. I wasn't supposed to be there. And so I came down to North Carolina as usual for the summer to run summer track for my club, Track Explosion. And as we're going through the season, I'm down here with my mom and my sister and Mr. Webb, and I'm just hanging out with them. We're just living, just going over the summer, running track, going to track meets and everything. And my mom kept telling me, she was like, something's telling me you need to come back here. Something's telling me you need to come back here. So I really started to think about it on my own time. I used to pray about it, sit and think about it. And I was in Atlanta with my best friend. We were going to we were at the Atlanta Falcons training camp because his uncle was a coach. And so we're going around, we're walking around the facility, and I looked at him and I said, I think I'm gonna move back to North Carolina. Now, as my best friend, he's hyped, but I don't think he really understood why. So he asked me why when we had got back to the house, and I was like, so I'm just telling you I need to move back. So the first person I called was my coach, now Coach Donald, and I told him I think I'm gonna play at Garner next year. And then I called my mom and my dad. My dad, he was hurt. My mom was happy. My sister was happy. My brother was confused, but I think he thought it was better for me too. So I think that was probably one of the biggest times in life in general that the Lord has spoken to me.
That's a really nice story. His sister is also a freak track athlete too. They're both very, very, very fast. Have you ever experienced failure in academics or athletics?
This is a hard question. I don't necessarily think I've ever experienced failure in a sense where oh my God, I just can't do it. Mm-hmm. But I think that failure as in my own mind, yes. Because I've never had a point in my life where I was, oh, I have an F and I just can't get it up, or, oh, why can't I just learn this play? It's never been things like that in sports or academics, but it's been goals I've set for myself that I didn't end up meeting. Like in school, I want to get all A's and B's. And this past semester, I think I had 1 C, and it was a 79. Which is kind of bad because I could have got an 80 at the least, but 79. So I feel like those are times where I would consider it a failure in my eyes. Mm-hmm. And in sports, this past football season, I wanted to get 100 tackles, and I was on pace the first game. I had 12, but I ended up getting hurt. Then So I missed the game. And the game that I got hurt in the second game, I can only end it with 4 or 5 tackles. So I think it just kind of slowed down from there. And I had good games, but just wasn't enough to reach the goal at that point anymore.
I'm the exact same way. It's not about like the actual physical academics or the physical athletics. It's just like the mindset and the standards that you hold yourself to. I'm the exact same way. Yeah. What's the best way you recover from a tough game?
How do I recover from a bad game or a hard game, like hard on my body type?
Both.
Okay. Well, how I recover from a game that I feel like I didn't play my best, or run my best. Basketball, I don't know. I just let it go. But for track, after a bad race, I don't really sulk too much. I try to next race, because usually I have another thing to do, so I can't really think too much on it, or it's gonna affect my next race. So I just try to run good the next race, and if I don't have another race that day, I try to watch my race, see ways I could improve my race and things like that. And for football, if I have a bad game, the rest of that night be bad. I just need to sleep on it. But how do I recovery-wise, though, track, ice bath. That's all we do. No hot, no heat baths, no none of that. Ice bath. But for football, we use more heat because the effects last longer. But in track, you got to get the quick hits because you got to run the next day.
Have you ever felt like you're running on empty? Like there's just nothing left in you?
Physically, yes. There have been times, especially on the track, or maybe even on the basketball court. A lot of basketball because we be running all the time. We be up and down, up and down, up and down. I just feel like my legs are shot. But mentally, I don't think there's been many times where I felt empty. I try to keep people around me, like friends and family, people like that who build me up. Also tell me when I can be doing better or I'm not doing the right things. But I try to avoid people who drain me more than help me gain energy.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So you do 3 sports. When it comes to the social media and the popularity and like the glamorous part of it, like how do you differentiate yourself from being one of those like jocks from being like a humble athlete?
Well,
and do you think you're a humble athlete?
That's a good question. Personally, I feel like a jock is a stereotype, like a movie stereotype.
Right.
I don't think that there are many people who actually act like jocks are portrayed. I'm not sure. I personally haven't met I have met maybe 1 or 2 people who are truly they fit the movie stereotype. But I don't think there are a lot of people who are fitting that stereotype completely. I feel like everybody's a little bit different than that. Personally, I feel like there are moments where I can be humble, and there are moments where I'm not. I feel like in basketball, I'm the least humble in that sport because it's not my sport. So whenever I do something good, I got to talk about it. But in track, I'm probably the most humble because I always feel like I can do better in track because it's probably the sport where improvements happen the fastest. And in football, kind of just depends on the moment. There are some moments where I can be not humble at all. Not humble at all. It's the best way to put it. But for the most part, I feel like I'm humble on the football field as well. I try not to talk. I don't say too much to other people because I know there are people who like to, talk their stuff, say what they got to say to other players on the other team. I try not to feed too much into that. I don't think I've ever had a field altercation. Actually, I did have one against Willow Springs, but I don't think I started it.
How do you set boundaries with other people to protect your mental health? So like you said, you try to stay away from people who drain you and try to keep people close to you who build you up. But how do you, when you realize that somebody is draining you, how do you lightly push them away?
Well, I try to help everybody, so some people also don't appreciate the help, which is also okay. So I try to, if I feel like you're draining me because you're drained and you need people to build you up, I try to help them with that. But if they're not in that position and they're just a person who drains other people, then I try to talk to them less, or I just remove myself completely. I won't be rude to them if they try to talk to me, but I wouldn't I wouldn't continue to feed into them.
Right. Do you have any tips or mindsets that you would tell middle schoolers or just athletes in general trying to be like you, I guess?
Well, one of my biggest tips is to don't count other people's blessings. There are some people who could be in your grade and they could have 50 offers. You might not have none. You might have one, you might have two, you might have three, you might have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many you have. But don't look at the person with 50 and be like, dang, I wish I could be like you. Because you never know what that person really has going on. They could have 50 offers and their home life could be horrible. Your home life is great and you have 10. Be happy with that 10. Be happy with what you have, because when the Lord sees you happy with what you have, He'll build on that. He'll make you have more. He'll give you more. And so that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned when I got my first offer, because I realized people will say, oh, he didn't deserve that. Why didn't I get that? And I also realized I did the same things when I would see other people who I feel like I'm better than, which is okay to feel like you're better than someone. But don't count the fact that they got something that you don't have, because you never know what they did to get that. And you got to appreciate the fact that they're also working to get to the same place that you're trying to get to. And another thing, just work hard. A lot of people tell you to post things on social media, like everything. Personally, I don't, because I just don't think that it matters too much. When people see you, they'll ask what you can do, and of course it's okay to tell them, show them if you have it, but posting everything sometimes can be too much. So that's another thing I'll say. And always appreciate the people who help you get to the places you get to, your friends, your family. Whenever you get those things, just always remember, it's not a you moment, it's a y'all moment. When I got my first offer, all my friends were there for me. They were saying a lot of great things, telling me how great I was, and you'll realize you're not great just because of you. You're great because everybody is also putting their time and effort into you. So you got to make sure you appreciate them as well. That's probably what I'll tell you on that.
That was really good. Do you think that social media has had a negative or positive or neutral impact on high schoolers and middle schoolers?
Well, high schoolers in general is definitely a negative effect. So much goes on social media. Things that some people post on social media, things that people see on social media. And then social media can also get to your head, especially if you do have a lot of great things going on for you, because people could be talking about you negatively. A lot of people could be talking about you positively, and it can all get to your head. So I would say, yeah, that's what that leads back to, not posting everything on social media. Just post the big things. Don't post too much.
Yeah. And the last question, how do you make time for your friends and family while also balancing school and sports?
Well, I try to. Okay, well, sports is definitely all week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, sometimes Saturday, and maybe even Sunday. So I try to keep sports first after church. Church is probably the one thing that I wouldn't cancel that for anything. Now, say me and my friend, we've been making plans and the sports event came up. If it's not a game, I'll try to work around that. But games come second. I couldn't cancel that for anyone unless I had to, like in a case where I had to go to Atlanta to be with my dad. That's a case where, okay, I have to skip this game. So that would be the only way I would skip a game. I try to keep my weekends the freest because I know that's when most people have time anyway. So I try to, if I'm working out on Saturday or Sunday right after church, Saturday in the morning, so I can have the rest of the day to be with the people I love.
That's all I have for you.
Okay. I have a question for you real quick.
Go ahead.
How'd you come up with the name?
Oh, well, how do you balance your life? And like, what are the basics that you need? So, balance, blueprints.
Okay. I'm messing.
Okay, that's it. Good job.
Thank you.